Geopolitical uncertainty is a key discussion point at the WEF event in Hong Kong. CNA's Wong sat down with Matthew Blake. He's head of the World Economic Forum's Center for Financial and Monetary Systems. He explained how businesses are preparing for potential risks and market volatility.
We're seeing what I would say is an unprecedented amount of uncertainty. I think that notion of uncertainty is playing into the projections over the next 12 to 24 months. And so the implications on an economic basis is that companies stop spending because they don't like uncertainty. And if you're an individual, there too you see stock markets up one day, down the next. There's more volatility, and that's scary. And so as human beings, we say, whoa, there's something going on here. We too are going to pause. And so those effects slowly trickle through the broader economy on a national level, and when you add it all up on a global level.
Hong Kong is actually quite bullish, right? It wants to really push ahead to restore the growth that it experienced pre-pandemic. However, they've not really been achieving that. How do you think this economy in particular can kind of re-strategize and really work its way into attracting some of the liquidity that it really wants here?
I think this is a really interesting week for Hong Kong because not only do you have our event, which is a unique one, you also have a number of other convenings that are ongoing. So I think that's a way to add magnetism to Hong Kong, to build allure and to put it on the map in a very powerful and global way. And I think taking steps like that will be accretive. And we're starting to see capital flows into China, and Hong Kong is unique in that respect because it is the bridge to the mainland and also internationally. So I think those are positive dynamics for Hong Kong.
Increasingly as well, is there a concern that perhaps national interests may overtake decisions regarding profit making? Because we have seen examples of recent days that corporations now struggle between balancing protecting national interests and also money making.
The government plays an important role by creating a level playing field and setting the rules of engagement. Less so interventionalist. And what I mean by that is a government coming in and telling, let's say, an investor, you need to buy this or you need to exit that. And now that we're in a more complex geopolitical environment where national interests are at the forefront, there is an inclination from governments to play a more forceful role in those discussions. And we're seeing some of that play out around the world.
But how concerning is that?
I think it's a new paradigm. Today, we're seeing many of these firms build out specific geopolitical teams to help assess some of these dynamics in a very analytical and in-depth way. You're seeing firms recognize this changing environment in front of them and taking steps to try and better understand it.
You talked about how the trade war is causing some investor jitters as well. And interestingly, you've got a report that's just been launched regarding the trends of retail investors. And we have seen how your report has highlighted, let me quote here, 30% of Gen Zs are starting to invest in their early adulthood. What does this really mean for the retail sector going forward?
This is our second iteration of that report. The first one we published back in 2022, and we've built off those findings. We've surveyed over 13,000 people in 13 markets. Asia is a big part of that geographic mix. The fact that younger individuals, aided by technology, are able to access markets is a phenomenal development. So the more participation that you have from institutions and individuals, that's a real positive. I think the question, though, is doing that responsibly and having the understanding of how markets work and how to deploy money over the long term.
And that goes into your other new report as well. So how does that square with the fact that you have very young retail investors right now taking higher risks and also, going ahead to invest in very different products, and yet they're not saving enough perhaps for retirement in the future, and that's what we're seeing. So how do you think that's going to play out and affect retirement schemes in the future?
The key really is understanding the principles of savings. So concepts like compounding interest, like just compounding in general. That's such a powerful mechanism to create wealth over time. But you need to have a discipline and an understanding on how it works. Also, you had mentioned debt. Debt can be beneficial in certain circumstances, but it can also come back to bite you.
Given what you know from the reports that you have put out and also the uncertainties of the global economy, what kind of an outlook are we looking for the rest of the year, for example?
There's uncertainty and there's volatility, and those things go together. Back to what the World Economic Forum does, I think it's really important for platforms like ours, and there are others, but like ours in particular, to bring people together during times of uncertainty and to maintain dialogue. Because what we see is when dialogue breaks down, things go off the rails. So I think we play a really important role, be it here in Hong Kong, bringing financial services leaders together with policymakers, but ditto around the world. Same reflection for anywhere in the world. So these are all important things for us to stay focused on.